Welcome to the road to 1 million US dollars. Let's get right into the Bitcoin chart for today, starting on this 4-hour time frame for Bitcoin, because right now, right before I started recording this video, we got another massive dump to the downside on that 4-hour time frame. So what the hell is happening in the charts today? That is exactly what I'm going to share with you. First of all, we should note that Bitcoin is technically just in a downtrend here on that 4-hour time frame, and therefore, just like I said yesterday, so long as we are in a downtrend, be very careful with longing anything, because so long as we do not break this downtrend, we should expect the price to just fall lower at this point. Although if we take a look at the Fibonacci levels here, which could act as a short-term level of support for Bitcoin is currently trading exactly at this Fibonacci golden pocket, sitting from about 95.3K all the way down to 95,000 US dollars. Now, yes, we could see something like this where you get a wick down below, for example, but what I'm talking about when I say hold it as a level of support, I mean that we do not get candle closes below that golden pocket, because at that point we would have lost this as a level of support, but a wick can still just be completely fine. If we now get that candle close below the golden pocket, then we would have lost that as a level of support. And at that point, it starts getting pretty serious, because if we take a look at this liquidation heat map for Bitcoin, typically the Bitcoin price gets attracted to where there is the most liquidity on this chart. So since we are in a downtrend, we first need to take into consideration the liquidity to the downside as well. And the biggest pocket of liquidity to the downside is sitting at 94K. What you may notice at the same time, though, is that we do have quite a bit of liquidity to the upside. So once we start seeing some of those reversal signals where the market really starts cooling off a bit, so you don't get those sharp declines anymore, maybe you see a bullish divergence starting to show up on those 4-hour time frames, that's when we can start talking about potentially coming to grab this liquidity to the upside. Another way of looking at it is drawing some kind of trend line and saying like, okay, before I can get bullish again, I need to see some kind of break of that descending trend line, because then you can start looking at long positions again. But as far as I'm concerned, so long as we are still in this downtrend, I am simply just expecting there to be more bearish momentum. Now, if tomorrow we do something like this and we get a strong bounce off of that Fibonacci golden pocket, that is a whole different story. But for now, I'm not seeing those signs of Bitcoin bottoming out. And besides that, if I take a look at the RSI momentum indicator for Bitcoin, this actually still has some room before we reach oversold territory on that 4-hour time frame. And on the 1-hour time frame, there's still a little bit of room before we reach oversold territory as well. Now, something that I talked about in the signals group a little bit earlier today here was actually a potential setup in the case that we actually go deep into oversold territory here. And on this 1-year time frame, we grabbed a bunch of liquidity to the downside, perhaps at this 89K level or something like that. Perhaps we see some kind of bullish divergence starting to show up here. At that point, then you can start thinking about a long position again. And I'm not saying that it needs to play out like that, but I'm just saying if you see that in the charts, then potentially that could be a good risk to reward setup. Not financial advice, of course, but I'm just sharing with you guys what I'm thinking about ahead of time in the case that we actually do get that setup. Next, taking a look at the Bitcoin ETF flow tables for today. On Monday, we saw a net inflow of close to $500 million from the Bitcoin ETFs. Still seeing accumulation at these prices here, which is actually pretty interesting to see. But like I said, so long as we do not break this downtrend here, I think any kind of longing is just a very risky game to play, in my personal opinion. And I did say this in my signals group as well, but most of you guys are probably not in that, so I'll just repeat it here. Like what I'm talking about in this video here today, I'm mostly talking about swing trades, right? So I'm not talking about scalping on the lower time frames. Like just because we're in a downtrend here on the 4-hour time frame doesn't mean that on the much lower time frames you cannot take a long position on this momentum to the upside, right? So do keep in mind that obviously I'm not talking about scalping here, because yeah, scalping is just a whole different thing that isn't what I'm talking about in this video here. Now, do I think that this is the bull market top for Bitcoin? That like 104K was actually the full cycle top, and that we're now going into some kind of 70% decline bear market or something like that? Personally, I think that is very unlikely. That's one of the reasons why earlier today I actually bought some spot Solana, because I do think that long term we are going to see the market recover. But as you may notice from this pattern that I have in the charts here, I was looking at this breakout pattern here and thinking like, wait, maybe this is something that I missed in this case, because this also looks like a breakout. You got the volume here as well. Then you even got a retest on this wick to the upside. So this can definitely be considered a breakout, and this technically is targeting about 90.5K for the Bitcoin price. Now you can also take it a bit more conservatively and say that it is targeting about 91.5K. So that's another alternative. But at this point, if we lose that Fibonacci golden pocket, obviously I'm in a short position right now. I'm trying to short the market and capture this violent momentum to the downside. Either way, this has been today's market update. If you want to get access to my trading signals and my real-time analysis of the markets, you can do so completely for free simply by joining the Road to 1 Million Discord community with the link in the video description. And once you're in here and verified, you simply go to this trading signals access channel and you follow these 3 steps right here to get access to my trading signals completely for free. But regardless, if you do end up joining or not, thank you for watching once again, and I'll see you tomorrow in the next one.